Well, 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 here we are. We've all had a wonderful Christmas time, and
Yes.
here we are at the end of 2023 for episode 233 of Two Legs. Wow. I'm Andy Nichols, and I'm one of your two co-hosts. And joining me today is one of the Two Legs co-founders, and that's Mr. Thomas Hunyadi. Good evening, Tom.
Good evening, Andy. And this year came and went, buddy.
Certainly did. What can you say? The years go. What's that old saying? Like the days and the days and months seem long, but the years fly by. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, they do. And it wasn't that crazy of a year for McCartney news, but we still had a lot of fun with with guests and live shows and stuff like that.
Touring.
We'll get into that a little.
We'll get into all that a little bit. But
yeah,
it's the end of the year recap show, year in review of Paul, and. Talk about some of our favorite shows that we did this year and guests that we had on as well throughout 2023, which is completing my fourth full year on the show.
Wow.
Fourth full year on the show. I joined.
So like 4.5 years. Yeah.
Just not quite, maybe. But four and change. Coming into the tail end of there of 2019. And it's been so nice to have David on the last, over the last 2 months. He's popped in and on live streams. He's been on. He filled in for you on one that you couldn't make, and then he joined us for the McCartney
last
3.
Last
week's episode, the McCartney 3 Madness repackaging, and all that good stuff that's going on with that. So it was interesting seeing people's stories about what they got and reading the comments on the page. So I think Joan and a couple people bought like 4 versions, and they got all the same versions,
all the same ones.
What else have you heard? What else have you heard out there about that? What else have you heard from other people buying? Have they gotten all 3 versions yet?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. Let us know in the comments if you have. As they've been as the albums are being distributed, I'm actually kind of thinking maybe I'll get one more. And I'll see if I get a different variant,
Well, you got the Simon. You got the Simon version, so you're all good.
Yeah.
I must say, though, partner, the talk in that album kind of convinced me to take a deeper dive back into McCartney 3 again, particularly Deep Feeling, which I did.
Yeah, that's right. You texted us the other day, Dave and I, and I figured, he's listening to McCartney 3. I
listened to it probably for 4 or 5 straight days in a row in preparation of the episode that we did with David, just to kind of get my head around it again and listen to it. And because that was a track I just was like, this is really. Initially, I was like, this is a good track, but I really can't get into it. And then the light bulb just clicked in my head, and I think I played it 20 times over the course of like 5 days.
Wow.
It's the best. It's my favorite track on McCartney 3 now, hands down.
Wow.
I think it's Mitch Axelrod's too. If I was remembering back to our show with him, I think he might have said that was his favorite as well. And it was. And I must say, I think I'm even prepared to say that I like McCartney 3 better than Egypt Station now.
Wow.
Yes, I am. I'm only with one clunker, and that's Deep Down. That song still sucks.
Yeah. I still think it's fun, but if you're I think it's probably my least favorite on the album, but I still think it's a fun track. Yeah,
so I thank you for kind of kicking off that episode, and I guess thank Paul for kind of reissuing McCartney 3 and getting us talking about it again, because that's their job, and they did it.
I don't know. I think it's important to give albums, if you're a McCartney freak and you've got all of his albums, and if you have ones you think are clunkers, I think it's important from time to time, or maybe, every couple years to go back to them, and you never know, you might change your mind.
Yeah, our friend Dylan Seavey did that in great fashion for me with Riding to Jaipur from Driving Rain.
Right.
A song I always would just go, and he totally changed my viewpoint on that track completely. So it's funny how that time and what you think about when you listen to it. But what's been going on with you, partner? What else?
Just work, and we had a great Christmas. Saw a couple movies over the Christmas weekend, and had a great time. It's been weird celebrating Christmas with family members I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah. I have to ask you, did you don the Wonderful Christmas Time shirt either on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day?
I did. Christmas Day, yes. So I went to Aunt and Uncle's house, and I had the Wonderful Christmas Time T-shirt on, and it was great. I wore, it was what 49, 50 degrees here in Michigan, so I was able to have shorts on.
Hey, nothing compared to Phoenix, babe.
Right, so it was actually a nice day. We had a white Christmas because it was foggy. So it was kind of like a white Christmas in reverse, where the white was in the air, but not on the ground.
Not on the ground. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure you watched some football there, and your Lions got the dub. It was close.
We got the dub. And I had a lot of fun watching the Chiefs lose. That was
the Raiders. Look at the Raiders going into Arrowhead and pulling out a win.
In Arrowhead. That was crazy. I mean, Mahomes just didn't look good throughout that whole game, but then your Giants, almost pulled a late game comeback, but
they almost beat Philadelphia, but they lost to Philadelphia in Philadelphia for the 11th time in a row, so they haven't won since 2013 in that lovely city. Peace and love, Philadelphia, but I can't stand the team. But it was a good game. Actually, I think it's just a sidebar here, sports talk. I think that win by Philadelphia says more about Philadelphia than it does about the Giants. Philadelphia should have smoked the Giants, and they did not. So I don't think they'll be going that far, pal.
But you know what? I mean, the division rivals always play each other tough.
Not in the last 10 years for the Giants. The Cowboys and the Eagles have smoked the Giants just about every time.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
So to see them, a 5-9 Giants team with a backup quarterback, kind of take them to the brink, wasn't so bad. I'll take it. And, go San Fran. I'll go Detroit first. Go Detroit for my co-host and co-founder. San Fran, all the way.
Yeah. It's not going to affect my life one way or the other, the outcome of these games.
Still got to get up and go to work in the morning.
There you go, my friend.
So the year in review for Paul, I mean, it was, as Tom mentioned at the top, it was not a crazy year of lots of releases, but a pretty significant one. And the year kicked off really with the half-speed master release of Row Speedway on the 22nd of April, which tied in with Record Store Day, did it not?
Record Store Day, yes, sir. And we kind of knew it was coming, right? We just didn't know if it was going to be on Record Store Day or on Paul's website, where he's been selling these. So it did appear in Record Store Day first, and then a month or two down the line, then it went to his website. So if you didn't catch it on Record Store Day, you were able to get it off of his website eventually.
Yeah.
So, but great sounding record. I love these Half Speed Master series. And hopefully they don't stop. Hopefully we don't. If we let's say the Archives series is finished, right? Let's hope that the series continues, so we do eventually get a Half-Speed Master of London Town.
Right. If we're not going to get an Archive, let's at least get that. Right.
Right. Exactly.
I still haven't given up on the Archive. I think it's coming back. It's just. We've got he's got the movie thing in the works now still, and High in the Clouds. So he's
High in the Clouds. Yep.
He's working, doing stuff. I still believe the Archive will continue at some point. I have faith. So that was a nice release, and I must say one of the cleaner sounding. I mean, they've all sounded great back from McCartney to this, but something about that Row Speedway one was really was so clean.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic sounding record. I love the first side, second side, not so much, but wait, listen, that medley has got its fans. I'm glad there's people out there that love that medley, but like you with the deep feeling. I mean, eventually it might click for me one day. So
yeah. I mean, did deep feeling click with you back in 2020 right away or no?
It took me a couple repeated listenings before it did, but I really appreciate it. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, it's really asking a lot of your fan base, right? To appreciate something like that. Whether it's his experimental stuff or classical stuff. When you step outside that, your box or whatever, and then you're asking your fan base to do the same. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
You mean it didn't take, despite repeated warnings, to get into that track?
Yeah, no, I mean, and the thing with that track, I still don't really care for it. Still,
yeah, you don't. You
day.
don't still, right?
Yeah.
So that was that. And on the 12th of June, right around Paul's birthday, we got the photo book, Eyes of the Storm, 1964, right. The year in photos. Liverpool, New York, Paris, I forget what other cities.
Florida, Miami.
Yep. And, which was a nice addition. Didn't think it was coming. I kind of think it was a thing of, here's a can of film. Develop it up and make it a book.
Yeah, I thought it was a really lovely book, and obviously we don't. Mine's in the storage in Arizona,
and mine's on loan. Yeah, I loaned mine out, so I don't have it to show you. But that was a nice book, and came down in price too. I think initially had a high dollar amount in it. I think it ended up coming down for about $40. I think on Amazon.
Yeah. Amazon, I think was probably the best bang for your buck.
Yeah. But that was a nice book, and if you're into photo books, and not everybody is, but it's from that, kind of night, just that first year of kind of worldwide Beatlemania. As
right, late '63.
Yeah, late '63 into '64, and when they come into North America and they hit the rest of the world, it's a nice snapshot in time of Paul, like in the limousine, taking photos of the fans and stuff like that. So that was a nice kind of photo book. You look at it a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you discover new photos of the boys, I mean, it warrants a package like this. I mean, if you got 70, 80, 100, however many pictures it was, put it in a book like this, and then plus that gives you an opportunity to tell the story. We weren't coming to America without a number one again.
Yeah. No, that's sorry. I know that sounds good, but history tells us otherwise.
Tells us otherwise is right, my friend.
So after Eyes of the Storm, in terms of releases of things with McCartney's branding or name on it, it was pretty quiet all the way really till October, and that's when his kind of first podcast ever launched. The Life and Lyrics.
Well, it was kind of quiet with releases, but while promoting Eyes of the Storm, he kind of let something slip, didn't he?
Well, just a little bit. Yeah, he had done the event with Conan in June,
right? And
he'd done a few other appearances to promote the book, and he let it slip that Now and Then would be coming out this year. That's when everything went.
Yeah, that's when we went all crazy.
Back in June, we were like, "What? They did this song?" And by that point, the song had already been done a year.
Yes, right.
As we heard on, if you checked out things we said today, Peter Jackson, which I'm still not done with that interview. I've got about 40 minutes left. Did you finish it?
No.
I'm working.
I got to get back to it.
Oh God, it's so. But they had that in the can and in the middle of 2022.
Yeah, amazing.
So, of course, now it's like, okay, Now and Then's coming out, but when? So, but we did get the Life and Lyrics podcast that came out with Paul Muldoon, which is dropping once a week. And it's some of the songs that you've picked, you all know the stories so well. Other times when he's doing, Wings and solo songs, you're like, okay, let's hear a story. And they're dropping weekly. And so have you kept up with some of them, Tom, or not really?
Kept up? I haven't even started.
Yeah, and I got to give a lot of credit.
But I plan on it.
Yeah, I got to give credit to our friend and listener Kyle Hand. He's been up on that podcast listening to all of them. I'm a few behind. I only really listen to the ones I don't know anything about already. Like anything solo wise, I'm jumping into. Any Beatles songs ones, I'm probably not going to listen to too much, but they're interesting. But you can tell those conversations were recorded very naturally. Paul's eating and drinking tea and stuff. It's not a formal interview.
Well, those conversations came from the actual interview process while Paul was writing. How do you pronounce his last name? Muldoon. Yeah, I believe those tapes come
Muldoon,
from the actual interview process.
Got to be like Paul, though. Say process. Process.
Yes.
Don't be like an American. Don't say process.
Okay, sorry.
Don't say process.
I'm not going to say schedule. I'm not going to say schedule either.
It's the process. It's the process. And I actually heard him say that in an interview not too long ago, which was funny. He goes, "Oh, you Americans, it's not the process, it's the process."
Okay.
That was interesting too. And they drop weekly. on any podcast platform, and they're pretty cool. Unfortunately, they are littered with advertisements. It takes you about 3 minutes to get through all the advertisements. Actually, let me be correct, adverts, before you get to the rest of the the podcast itself. So those were pretty cool to check out as well. And they're still being released weekly. Then October 13th, we got a Paul appearance on Ringo's 88th EP in the last 2 years, Rewind Forward, with a track called Feeling the Sunlight.
Right. You have listened to it, right?
I did, in preparation of that recent collaboration show that we did. Yes.
That's right. Yeah. So, it's, again, like I said before, I mean, it's just a fun little poppy, 2-second song, that Paul comes up with in 2 seconds, so.
Yeah. It was good, for what it was, but it's a typical, if Paul sang it, I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. That's all.
Yeah.
More guesting on other people's records happened a week later on the 20th of October. The Rolling Stones' brand new excellent album, Hackney Diamonds, was released, and Paul played bass on the track Bite My Head Off. Which is fantastic.
For me, one of the top 3 or 5 tracks on that album. A fantastic album. Great comeback for the band.
Yeah, then I believe you listened to it twice in your journey, right?
Yes. First,
you did.
Yeah, listen to that album twice. It was the first album I played on the trip here back to Michigan.
Yeah, good rocking album, start to finish. And just how many times can you say that about a Stones album? It really is.
Right. Good point. Yeah.
But that was a great track, and then of course, 1st of November, Now and Then, finally the audio, the single dropped on streaming platforms, and and then it was just off and running after that happened. November 1st, we actually had the album, the single come out. I think it was 9 a.m. The day before, we had the documentary drop, the 12-minute thing, the song itself, and then the video dropped on the 2nd of November on the Friday.
Right. That was a crazy week, too, because it's like, okay, am I going to be able to have time to, record these shows when we've got all this stuff lined up? We had something, planned with Mitch, and I was just starting my travels from Arizona to Michigan, and I was just like, tough
timing for that release for you.
Yeah. So, needless to say, I may have gone a little over the speed limit, on my trip to Michigan, but made it in plenty of time. It was a really eventful little trip that I took.
So speaking of Now and Then, just to recap, did you go out and get any physical copies in stores, or was everything online for you?
Target, just the Target.
Just the Target Red.
Yep, the Target Red. I didn't seek any other copies of the 45 at stores. The rest of my ordering was on thebeatles.com.
Thank you, Affirm.
Yes. Of course. So, I mean, besides that, because what did I get? I think I got that white one, or the blue. No, I got the marble.
The marble, yeah.
Yeah, the marble. I got that, and then I went back and said, you know what, screw it. I got the black, the white, and then the CD single.
The CD single itself, yeah. Which they, remember I'm thinking about it. It's like they didn't announce a CD version for about 2 weeks later, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Now you didn't get the cassette though, right?
No. Yes.
You did get the cassette. Did you play it?
I did get the cassette. No.
Partner, I told your former co-host this the other night. It sounds so much better on an analog tape deck than it does streaming or a CD. Yeah. I don't know what it is. The hiss of like putting a tape on, maybe that adds to it. But it just sounds better on cassette. It just does.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a dual cassette player here. I'm just gonna have to open that sucker up and play it.
Listen to it. See if you see what I was talking about. I'm interested on your thoughts if you think that it was or not. But we've all talked about Now and Then until we're blue in the face, and we're happy and thank God it's here. The red and the blue. Obviously, that's a little thing, but it all kind of ties in with all that release.
All ties in, yeah. And these were interesting listens too. I mean, especially the red, right? I mean, that's the one we really were clamoring to hear because we haven't gotten anything, remaster or remixed wise.
Nothing from that period, no.
Yeah, we were all talking about, well, how are they going to pull it off? But thanks to Peter Jackson and his team and Mel, we were able to get some remixes.
And and I totally agree with you. My only problem with the whole release is having different track listings on CD or vinyl. Keep it, and I know there was probably a late decision to do that, and that's what happened. But I've seen a lot of people say pro and cons. They like having a third disc of just extra tracks, keeping the original sequencing intact. Other people saying, hey, look, you got to do this, chronologically. I probably would have preferred that. I think closing it on vinyl with Now and Then, I think would have been a lot better than opening up side 5 with it. Personally.
No, I agree with you there. You end with you end with Now and Then, on LP, just like you did with the CD.
just like you did with CD, which you grabbed the CDs. You don't have the vinyl versions of those yet, right?
Correct. Yeah, I think I'm fine without the vinyl for now. Still, maybe one day.
That'll change come February, and
we'll see if we're if we're somewhere, and and if I see them, I might be persuaded to pick them up. We'll see.
I wouldn't doubt it. Hardcore collector, physical media man that you are, would.
Yes. Anyways,
more guesting on other tracks. The 3rd of November, what ended up being Mr. Jimmy Buffett's final album, Equal Strain on All Parts, was released, and Paul was featured on the very appropriate track, My Gummy Just Kicked In, which was a funny little song to listen to. Those guys were pals there the last 20 years, having homes and residences on Long Island, and Paul and Jimmy got pretty close, and it's nice that Paul is on Jimmy's last record.
Yeah, and I mean, the song is so good. I've almost been persuaded to buy the album. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm curious. I mean, maybe I'll just listen to the album on YouTube or something. Do that, even though I'd rather have the physical copy. But yeah, I mean, it was a really, really good track, and I think musically, I think it's really good. You get the steel drums in that track, right? That was a lot of fun, and Paul plays a nice little bass line there. So yeah.
A lot of nice guest appearances here in the end of last half of the year in 2023. Obviously, we don't know when they were all recorded, but when they all were released, ended up being
correct.
You had all these appearances on all these tracks, and then the Now and Then stuff. So he really was in the public consciousness there the last half the last quarter of the year.
Yeah. Even though we haven't gotten a new album per se, he's still been busy.
Yes.
Obviously with all of these guest appearances. Now and Then, we know he's recording with Andrew Watts. Going live, which we'll talk about as well. Public appearances. I forgot to mention he did do like a photo gallery display of pictures. To help promote the Eyes of the Storm book as well.
He did. And speaking of books, we got another edition of The Lyrics on November 7th, and that was a paperback edition, wink, wink, which had about 5 or 6 more songs in it, which I think our friend Kyle Hand picked up. I did not. The standard in the UK that I got a couple of years ago will do me fine. I wasn't getting the paperback. Did you?
No, not get the paperback. I'm trying to remember the tracks that were added. I can't remember if Bluebird was one of them, but some other tracks were included in there, and I should go back and look at those added tracks just for the paperback and say, do I care enough about these songs that will warrant me to go out and buy the paperback? We'll see. You might.
So here's the ones that were added were Bluebird, as you're right.
Yeah.
Bluebird, Day Tripper, English Tea, Every Night, Hello Goodbye, Magical Mystery Tour, Step Inside, Love. I'm not buying the paperback for those additional songs.
Okay. Well, Every Night, great track. English Tea, I can take it or leave it. Hello Goodbye is probably my least favorite number 1 Beatles track. Magical Mystery Tour, I can, take or leave that track as well. So yeah, I guess maybe not.
Do you have the UK edition?
No.
Okay, just the American.
Yeah.
So they had a paperback edition of The Lyrics, which was released on November 7th. Then again, another guest appearance on November 17th. Dolly Parton had a double album release called Rockstar, where she covered, 30 some odd classic rock songs. And she did a version of Let It Be with Paul and Ringo, which was okay. I once or twice listened.
Okay, you get backing vocals from Paul. I mean, the highlight of the song is Peter Frampton's guitar solo for me. That was truly the highlight. Haven't listened to any other tracks from that album from Dolly. I'm sure she does a great job. You got a lot of great guest stars on there. Steve Perry, I think, Ann Wilson, and so on and so on. So, if you did get it, let us know what you thought of the whole album. Maybe
good for her.
Get some other tracks.
Good for her to do a double LP of covers in Rockstar.
It's actually 4 LP, 2 CD, 4 LP.
2 CD, 4 LP, correct?
Yeah.
So that came out on the 17th of November. Then we got an announcement just at the beginning of this month that we were going to get the Band on the Run 50th anniversary half-speed master release with a nice little white slipcase double LP in February of 2024. That got announced, as we all know, and we talked about that, and we've pre-ordered it. Thank you. And then in terms of announcements, we had just 2 weeks ago the McCartney 3x3 third anniversary re-release with their 3 different vinyl color incarnations that were available, and we talked about that on our last episode and how the consumer could not pick, which was really interesting.
No, honestly, that again, it doesn't bother me one bit at all that he's releasing this. The thing that really does bother me is that what you just said. Not knowing which one you'll get is the part that just rubs me the wrong way.
Hey, and for the diehard super fans that wanted to just buy all 3 or buy 4, and we saw some comments on our social media that said, I bought 3 and I got just 3 of the same, or I bought 4 and I got 2. And if you can do that and you're that hardcore of a fan, God bless you.
Yeah. It's again, if we had the option to buy all 3, I mean, I would have been affirming that purchase all day long.
You would have bought all 3, right?
Yeah, I would have. Yeah.
$33.33, appropriately priced, right? Before taxes and shipping and handling, of course. Wouldn't it be cute if they figured out that price with the shipping and handling and taxes to be whatever?
Now that would have been great. That would have been really cool. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%, my friend.
So that was in terms of announcements or releases of new stuff or forthcoming stuff. Then he got back on the road, and the Got Back tour picked up again. We mentioned he did a little promotional stuff for the book. On the 15th of June, he did a Storytellers with Conan O'Brien, which our super fan on the run, Joan Borelli, attended, and we had her on to recap that great experience, and was a good show.
She also came on to talk about that tribute show. What was that in New York, right?
Yes,
Denny, people know what the tribute
show to Paul McCartney, and it was like, hey, she went to that as well too.
Denny Lane was there. A whole bunch of other great performers were there.
Speaking of Joan,
it would be really cool just to go to one of these events one day. These little, 200-300 people events, an intimate setting, Although, I'm not the big, I have a hard time listening to Paul's interviews these days. Because you can pretty much predict what he's going to say for these things, but
You can. And speaking of Joan, she was quite the trailblazer. She joined us because Paul went to Australia between the 18th of October and the 4th of November, his tour, which we were always figuring out where was the tour going to be? Where was it going to be?
Right.
Well, we ended up finding out in the summer or late summer that he was going to be in Australia. Yeah. And Joan went to every gig in Australia.
For 3 weeks. Yeah, for 3 weeks. And she popped on after the first show and told us all about it. And she said it wasn't perfect, but you know what? That's the thing. When you go to a McCartney show, you're going in, his vocals aren't going to be what they were. But as soon as that show starts, that goes right out the window. You're in. Yeah.
It goes right out the window, and you can see the excitement on her face when she tells the stories about being there. She's all in, and she enjoyed every second of it, and God bless her for doing that.
Right.
After that, the tour went into Mexico City, but we didn't get any backseat of my car. Surprise, surprise. And the tour wrapped up in Brazil from the 28th of November just until the 16th of December. And as Tom kind of made a bet that he thought he'd play Brack in Brazil, but he did not play Brack in Brazil.
No, he did not play Brack in Brazil. Disappointing. I was disappointed with that. I mean, that set list stayed the same from the start of the Australia tour to the end of the Brasilia tour. No changes whatsoever.
Listen, beggars can't be choosers. That the shows are what they are, and we have to take what we have and be happy with it. It's our choice to go to a concert or not go to a concert. It really is.
Yeah.
And those that can go and go multiple times, God bless you. I hope you obviously they enjoy it. And hopefully you and I get another chance to see him, because I know we'll be there.
I should still think he should concentrate on a European tour first before he comes back to the States.
Yeah, he needs to play in the homeland. He needs to play in the homeland, and he needs to play in London. He needs to play in Scotland. He needs to play in Liverpool. He needs to play at home. And for all you people in the UK, I know you guys have been clamoring for him to come back home. I hope you guys get a UK tour that is like 2 months long. And he hits all these cities. I really do. Moving forward, we shall see. Now, in the book department for 2023, as we mentioned, the 1964, The Eyes of the Storm was Paul's book, but we had 3 fantastic releases of books.
Yes,
three friends of the show that have all been on here and promoted their books this year. And God, we are so thankful that we got them. A, that they wrote them, and B, that they came on the show to talk about them. And the first one that we did in the year was Mr. Luca Perazzi, and that's Music is Ideas. Stories Behind the Songs, Volume 1, 70 to 89. And man, Luca is just a phenomenal journalist. He is actually in the middle of releasing a book on Peter Gabriel's music as well.
Yes.
In the same vein as this kind of a book. So I as a Genesis guy, can't wait for that. Even though it's solo stuff. But yeah, Luca, hard at work on Volume 2, which is coming out in 2024. Can't wait. And Luca has been such a great friend of the show, and we had him on, so check that episode out to see the review of the Music is Ideas book. The second book that we got at that point, and all thanks to my partner over there, because he spurned on, he in part played a big role in getting Mr. John Blaney to write and number 5 of the songs of Volume 5 of the songs he was singing. Volume 10, Volume 5, 2010 to 2019. And I read this going out to the fest in Chicago. John does a great job. We had him on in the summer to talk about the book.
That's right.
And, yeah, it was a great show. And partner, thank you for doing that. You wanted it.
Well, I mean, well, I'm glad he did it. I don't know if he just needed a little push or so. I mean, I really did. All I did was just say, hey, just please do it. I mean, I really didn't do much, but look, thank you, John, and looking forward to having you back on, and hopefully, there'll be a Volume 6. We'll see.
One thing I love about John's writing is he does not beat around the bush. If he doesn't like a track, he tells you he doesn't like a track.
Yeah.
And he doesn't sugarcoat it. If he thinks it's absolute gobshite, he'll tell you it is. And I love that about him.
Yeah. Just like our friends Chip and Mark with the 8 Arms to Hold You book. I mean,
same.
They didn't hold back either.
They did not. And lastly, later in the year, we got the release of a new book by a friend of ours who's been on the show, and actually met him at the Chicago Fest, and that was Dr. Richard Driver's That Was Me. Paul McCartney's Career and Legacy of the Beatles. And this, my friends, was quite the book. Very comprehensive. We had all these authors on throughout 2023. Right. So if you want to hear, see about the author's take and what check the episode out. But a good first third of the book is really just all about the Beatles before going into Paul's solo career in depth. And I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is super expensive," but he had discounts and other ways that you can get it cheaper too.
Yeah. I mean, it's rare that you get a career-spanning book, with his complete solo career. Well, I mean, it's still not complete. I mean, he's still with us and still recording, but it's very rare to get one book that talks about his whole solo career as current as it can be. Yeah. Right.
And again, he was commissioned to write that book, folks, by the university, so he wasn't really making a huge profit from this book at all. So that's why he didn't even determine that price with that. So welcome edition. Again, nice. It's just nice. The last 5 years, we're getting lots of books on just Paul's solo career.
Yeah, good point. I mean, you figure the last 45 years of his first 45 years of his solo career. I mean, not a lot of literature out there, but we've definitely been spoiled over these last 10 years for sure.
Very much spoiled. So it's been a welcome addition to have these works added to our libraries, because it's about content and topics that we have been jonesing for, and now people are writing about it. So thank you. Okay, this is like the Oscars part of the show where we talk about the people who passed away. We're not going to put any video tributes up, but there were several people very close to Paul, 5 of which we've just highlighted. I know there was countless more, but just throughout the year, Tony Bennett passed away on the 21st.
Yeah,
at 96.
Tony. Yeah, 96. Those that don't know, Tony and Paul did a duet together for Tony's 2006 duets album called An American Classic, and they did a track called The Very Thought of You. Very nice little track. I mean, obviously Paul, I think, is still in fine vocal form to perform those early classics from 50s and 40s, 50s, and 60s. So I like that track. It's a good track.
And what a life at 96, Tony Bennett. Just an icon. I'd seen him a couple of times. When I've seen Billy Joel, he'd come out and do New York State of Mind, which was just really cool to see him do that.
He was a legend. Yeah, he was a legend for sure. And I mean, first time I was exposed to Tony Bennett was at the beginning of Goodfellas for that track
Rags to Riches, baby. Yeah. That was it's a track that holds a certain spot in somebody's heart who's near and dear to me for a good reason. A great scene in that movie as well too. August 3rd, big time Paul McCartney collaborator Carl Davis passed away at the age of 86. Carl Davis, as you know, was the orchestrator behind the Liverpool Oratorio from 1991 when it came out, and also worked with Paul on Off the Ground.
Yeah, and then in the blink of an eye as well. So, when the singles collection came out, Carl did a shot of him with some of the works that he worked on with the 45s in the blink of an eye, and then the Liverpool Oratorio EP, the two singles that they turned into an EP. So that was nice to see that he was acknowledged, and Paul sent him that set. But yeah, I mean, listen, say what you will about the classical stuff. I mean, if I would appreciate if people gave that stuff a chance. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. I get it. I mean, it took me a while to appreciate classical music as well. But I think that Liverpool Oratorio is some of his best work.
It's some of the best work. Agreed.
That he's done in his career. There's a great documentary that accompanies the Liverpool Oratorio that you can find on YouTube. That's good. And Carl Davis, he's done a lot of music for silent films as well over the last few decades. If you're a silent film buff, he's done some great classical work for that as well. So Carl Davis, very big
his orchestration on Golden Earth Girl on Off the Ground is fabulous.
Yeah, agreed.
Just very 100%. Very touching, very well done. And then on August 16th, sadly, we lost Michael Parkinson at the age of 88, who has some deep connection back to Paul.
Yes.
Going back as far as as being on one of the
Cavern days.
The Cavern days, obviously seeing the Beatles then, but for his solo career, being on the cover of Band on the Run.
Yeah, and he's appeared on the show often, like you said, appearing on that Band on the Run cover. I mean, not too many people left alive.
Not now, and this year, two people had passed away. But it's funny, on his show, numerous times, I can remember watching this around 99, 2000, because we would get, in America, they would show the Parkinson show on, I think, PBS or one of those stations, and you'd see it. And I watched him do this ballad, and I'm like, this is a great song, but it's not even out yet. And it was just called Chase the Blues Away. And I'm like, this is a great song.
And he's got some little guest in the corner there.
Just the head of Pink Floyd, David Gilmour, just sitting there for a little riff of a song. Just that guy sitting over there. You just go play that little lead, and that's it. David Gilmour. Come on, man. Crazy.
Some little unknown cat named Gilmour is just casually just sitting there waiting for his cue.
Yeah, but I remember it wasn't done yet, and I remember telling the story to Michael Parkinson that he wrote the song because he was in a hotel in New York and there was a piano in there, and he's like, "Well, what do you do when you're in New York in a hotel and there's a piano? You got to write a song," and that's what he talked about ultimately becoming "Your Loving Flame," which came out on Driving Rain. And Michael Parkinson was just a great. Obviously John Lennon has been on his show. If you watch the Imagine film, there's a clip of him and Yoko on Parkinson's show. So long time UK TV presenter who passed away at the age of 88. And then on September 1st, as we mentioned earlier, with the collaboration, sadly Jimmy Buffett passed away at 76 due to a some kind of skin cancer, wasn't it, Tom?
I think something like that. Yeah, unfortunately, I forgot to look again. But I'll tell you what. Not the biggest Jimmy Buffett fan. I know he's got a great following. I can tell you, one of his first big singles that kind of put him on the map is called "Come Monday." Great little great little track. If you haven't heard it, check it. Go to YouTube and type in Jimmy Buffett's "Come Monday." I think you'll really like the track.
Great track. Merkel cell carcinoma officially was what he passed away from. But I think it was due to obviously being in the sun and stuff like that. But the singer continued. He performed while receiving treatment, and as you've often said over the years, my friend, the next these years approaching in the next 10 years are not going to be pleasant ones because we're going to start to lose some icons. And this year we did, and undoubtedly in 24. Listen, none of us are here forever, right? So
right. Death is batting 1,000.
Yeah, sure. Undefeated,
yes.
And hopefully we can hold on to our icons as long as we can, and appreciate them and love them while they're here. And sadly, very last and very, very important to Paul was the passing of Denny Lane on the 5th of December at 79 after a illness that really took him very quickly, considering he was performing earlier this year, and I had friends that saw him in New York in February.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this one, I guess you could say this one took us by surprise, right? I mean, he's out on the road, like you said, performing, and all of a sudden you just hear his health is on the decline, and you're like, what the hell's going on? And then you're getting updates, and you're saying to yourself, this might not be good.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, on the day of the 50th anniversary of Band on the Run, on the US release, I should say.
The exact date. I mean, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, he passes, and I mean, you can't underestimate what he did for in those 10 years that he worked with Paul. I mean, you can say he was a sideman. He even said he was a sideman. I just worked for Paul. But look, he did some really creative, great stuff. I mean, I think collaboration-wise, I think of Morse Moose and the Grey Goose. Now, look, I mean, people out there might not like that song, but I think it's a really cool, work that they both collaborated on. I mean, obviously the co-writes on, Mulligan Tire. I mean, he co-wrote the biggest selling UK single, non-charity
single, right?
Release of all time. Of all time. Can you believe that? Even though he sold his credits to Paul, but again, that can't be overlooked. No,
it's a co-writer of one of the best-selling songs of all time, and I know I don't care if he sold it. It's him.
Yeah. He definitely started coming out, I think, a little more and more better and better on the second half of Wings, getting more vocals, come Venus and Mars, Speed of Sound, definitely London Town, so yeah, I mean, he was a talent for Paul, and definitely someone he could rely on for sure.
For sure. So that wraps up the rest in peace tributes, and thank you everybody that everybody on that list. God bless you. Contributed to Paul's career in multiple ways, whether you helped him record or you were on a cover. I mean, anybody that touched his life touched ours. So
another icon that passed away, I think last January, was Jeff Beck. Him and Jeff were big friends as well. So he did write a little something that you can see on Paul McCartney's website and on his social media platforms too. That he wrote a nice touching tribute to his friend Jeff Beck as well. So
recapping the year, let's talk about some of our favorite shows that we did for Two Legs in 2023.
Right.
Partner, off the top of your head, do you have any that off the top of your head?
Well, I mean, I really enjoyed the show we did with Mitch. Mitch Axelrod. We did a couple shows with Mitch. Talking about Now and Then.
Well, 227, obviously.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. Looking back at them, I mean, I
tell you what, 219 with Peter Doggett might be one of the best ones we've ever done.
That was fantastic. A lot of great comments on that one. The fact that he came on and talked about it, which you don't see him doing a lot of interviews talking about that particular book, which is one of the most important Beatle books I think out there. So definitely check that one out. Let's see here. Going back, having Luca on.
Yep.
I really kind of had fun doing that Rubber Soul one where we compared.
I had that on my list when we did the Rubber Soul US. Yes. That was a fun show.
Yeah, with Ethan and Al Sussman, that was a lot of fun. Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. I think we did that shortly, maybe around Fest time. I think we're right after Fest time. I think it was actually because you bought an American Rubber Soul. Yes, at the Fest here because you brought it back to my house. Right. That was fun. Yes. Obviously, 209 with Ken Womack and the Malik book.
That ended up becoming our most viewed. We're at 10K views for that particular episode. So thank you to everyone that has checked out that episode. That really caught me by surprise. That we were at like around 3 or 4K.
And then when the book came out,
and then boom, it just took off.
It did.
Just took off.
And another favorite that we did was a little fun experiment. And we always do those little experimental shows. We come up with fantasy set lists and stuff. And again, thank you, Kyle Hand. He came up with this idea for 21 and the 21st, which was episode 214.
21 and 21st. That was fun doing that. I mean, you think 21 songs, that's no problem. I mean, but then when you go through the list of all the songs that he's done in the 21st century, it gets a little harder,
Yes, it
especially
does.
Especially if you love what he's been doing the last 20 years, and he's done a lot of great stuff.
He has. I would be remiss if I didn't mention episode 192, which was one of our first ones of the year, which was the review of the McCartney Legacy that we did with Helen Kozin and Adrian Sinclair.
Yeah, another big show too. Because late the previous year we had both Adrian and Alan on, and that show did incredibly well for us. But what a treasure that book is. And we'll talk more about a possible part 2 here in a few minutes. But fantastic stuff.
Episode 210 we did with notable UK journalist Chris Welch, who traveled.
Another great scorer. I mean, and I gotta say, Andy, thank you. I mean, because you actually some of these journalists that we've gotten on, like Doggett and Chris Welch. I mean, that was thanks to you. You reached out to those people and and you booked them. So good on you, my friend.
Hey, listen, it takes two, right? 2 legs.
Yeah, that's right.
It takes right. You've booked plenty of people over the years too, and if I can reach out to people and I had the time to do it, and hey. Yep. They could say no, and Chris Welch, was like, I couldn't believe Chris Welch. What a great interview. I mean, the guy had such a storied career writing for the Melody Maker in the UK and gave us so much time. Reminded me of when we did the interview with Salovic a little bit, because he's the same age.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
But it was a better connection for that call.
Yes. Yeah, I felt bad for Salovic, but we plowed through it. We got to it.
It wasn't the Oh, it wasn't the interview that you had to do with David where you had to edit the Skype call.
Oh, for our very first interview with the Queen, Kid O'Toole. My internet connection back then in those early days was just terrible. We had 3 people on for the first time,
what was
so
it,
I'm sure it was even worse. Back in the Skype days,
Oh my God! But those are some of the highlights of the shows we were proud of.
Yeah, one of the other ones too was the first episode of Paul and George with Owen Ling.
Of course.
Another fun, and we're gonna get to part 2 here, hopefully in January. Just going. Let me.
Also, pretty proud that this was the year we launched the beginning of that little mini live show, Stuck Inside These Four Walls.
Exactly. Us along with me, Mr. Mayo, Joe Mayo, and Beatly Tone. We started a side project called Stuck Inside These Four Walls, where the 4 of us, and we started off taking questions from each other. We did 4 rounds of 4 questions, and then we brought it to the live stream, and that was a lot of fun. And we're going to continue that. We weren't able to do one this month, in the month of December, just because our schedules were, not cooperating. But
Tone with his one wing, but hopefully he's doing better.
Yeah, so thank you to Tone, thank you to Joe Mayo for joining us for that, and hopefully, like I said, back in January we can pick that up again and move forward with that series. So yeah, I mean, you and David did a really nice Electric Arguments show for 226. So thank you for that. And then, like I said, the one with Mitch talking about Now and Then, even though that was the first episode I did here in Michigan. I remember my internet went out and I had to go outside on the phone.
Well, we were recording and I had to cut it up that episode because we started and then it was good and then you went outside to a porch, then you went somewhere else and we're like, oh my God.
Right.
Oh my God.
I'm like, this is not the way I want to start, recording in a new state,
Yeah. And like I said to a certain someone, thanks for the plug, babe. Peace and love.
Yeah. Our subscribers went up, so that was great. We didn't hit the goal of 2K this year, but we're getting there soon, and hopefully we'll reach that early on in 2024. The comments have been great. Our views for each show is consistently rising, which is a wonderful thing to see. If you want to, go back and you can go into Podbean and you can check out earlier shows because, again, I forgot to mention while we were talking about Carl Davis, before Andy joined, it was David and I, and we talked to Alan Cozen, who was at that premiere of Liverpool Oratorio, and he talked to us all about that. So you can listen to that on Podbean. But again, Andy. It's been a fun year. We didn't do as much live stuff as previous years.
No, we did not.
But again, we're busy individuals. We can't always make the time. Our schedules don't always mesh. Unfortunately. So hopefully we can.
We try. I know a couple of summers ago we did like a summer live series where every Wednesday night we'd go live for a little bit, and a lot of people, and we kept it kind of not. It wasn't just Paul centric. We did, we kind of kicked around movies, or I think one time we did ballads. So we'll get back to that as we can. But we try to. Everything's a juggling act. MPL.
Exactly.
The logo, right? So we try, and I'm sure. Listen, anything that's breaking and anything Paul related, we will do our best to go live and announcements of releases and the like, and we'll try to do that. And I always kind of say this to Tom off the air. We try to pride ourselves in. Quality over quantity. We're not throwing up 5 episodes a week. We try to do it once a week. Sometimes, very rarely, we miss a week, but that doesn't happen too often. We take our first Saturday of the month off to allow for pacing. But and we use YouTube as the platform, the medium to deliver what we're talking about. But we're podcasters. We like talking about it. We use this as the platform to deliver it to people because it's convenient and people like it. But we're podcasters first and foremost. I don't go for the YouTube shorts or whatever. I mean, I know a lot of people make a lot of money with that, and our subs are not going to be as high as somebody else. I don't care. We talk about what we talk about. We're passionate about it. We know about it, and we should like to share it with you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe one day when Andy and I are both retired, we're still doing this show. Maybe we can start doing shorts or something. But,
God bless. But when we're here, we stick to the matter at hand. It's a topic. Right. It's researched, and Tom is so prolific. And usually, when we're getting a guest on, or like when we do the series with Owen, Tom will go back and he'll take like loads of notes and send me like an email of, here's the talking points. Here's what and he does his due diligence when we have guests like that on that require the research.
Yeah, that stuff is a lot of fun too. Going back and looking at those Rolling Stones from the 70s and 80s doing their interviews. Those are some of the best interviews right there from all four of them, really. If you go back and you look at some of those 70s and 80s interviews, especially when Paul was very outspoken for a lot of things in the 80s, it's a lot of fun to go back. I mean, unfortunately, being born in 73, not becoming a fan until like the mid 80s, I got to go back. We got to go back, and we got to, we weren't, getting it as, at real time. So, we have to go back and we have to do all this research. Yeah. So some of it does take time.
And it does. And we did a few of those in 2023 in the first half of the year. I'm sure we'll do some more of that where we kind of pick apart an interview and kind of chew the fat. And next year, I want to try to just actually post like text if you're a visual person watching it, have like the interview up so you can actually see what we're talking about when we do it.
Yeah.
Can't be like our friend Andrew at Parlogram, whose videos are edited so well. I mean, I wish I had his time.
Right.
And his money. Right. Yeah. He does such a great job.
Yeah, and again, you can email us at twolegspodcast@gmail.com if you have an idea for a show topic that you would like to see us tackle. We are more than welcome. We've taken plenty of ideas from people that have emailed us and given us ideas. But Andy, 2024, what do you besides that Band on the Run coming out in February? Do you see anything else coming out from Paul? What do you think?
I wouldn't be surprised if we had a new release in the autumn or so.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think it'll be in the first half of the year. The last few years, they tend to be in the second half of the year, so I am hopeful for that new studio album at some point. Maybe he'll surprise us with some kind of archive thing, maybe not. I'm not holding my breath, but we'll see. Maybe we'll get some kind of other. Maybe we'll get. I know he talked about it. If you read those, you gave me the answers. Somebody asked him about send the sound check song compilation. Yeah. Somebody asked him, he goes, maybe we'll get around to it. And then somebody about collaborations. Is there anybody else you haven't worked with that you wanted to? And guess who he said? Bob Dylan. But he said, I don't think it will ever happen.
Right.
So, I mean, a new album and a tour in England and then maybe in America. That's my hope. My wishes for 24 is the new album and tours in the homeland and here. That's what I would like.
So you're not looking for a 4th anniversary edition of McCartney 3 then? Listen, I would love a new album from Paul. Let's hope for that. We, like I said before, we know he's recording new music. McCartney Legacy, the second volume. We're looking. I mean, they're looking to release part 2 in 2024. So we're going to meet them at the fest here in February. So we're definitely looking for maybe something with them as a quick chat or something like that. Maybe even a panel, with them. I don't know we still haven't decided what we're going to do at the fest yet. So, I mean, that's going to be last minute, unfortunately. But
we'll be there.
A lot of cool people. Yeah, we will be there. So, definitely new music, obviously. Besides, I mean, there's no album released to celebrate a 50th anniversary. The only thing that we'll really be celebrating was the 50th anniversary of Junior's Farm. So he didn't celebrate... He didn't celebrate a 50th anniversary of Live and Let Die this year, so I doubt we'll see something.
Although I did see did you see there's a version of that soundtrack album coming out, 2 LP? Did you see that?
No.
Live and Let Die? Yeah, check it out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, all right, cool.
There's an anniversary edition, and with another song by McCartney on there. It might be instrumental, but I saw it. I did see it. Yeah, it
might be an instrumental. Yeah. We'll take a look. And I know McGear is celebrating its 50th anniversary. We did a couple years ago. We did an episode on that with Tony Trigardo. That's something that I, again, I didn't care for the first time I heard that, but since then I've really come to appreciate that album. So there's some 40th anniversary. There'll be 40th anniversary of Broad Street.
Broad Street.
Right?
Yep.
You got let's see here, and that's it, right? That's for 4, or what else is what year did New come out? Or Electric
13.
Arguments?
We did that. Electric Arguments was 2008.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, New was 13. Yeah,
94 saw the release of, BBC, but nothing from Paul.
Right. Yeah, so really only one big anniversary, and that's the 40th of Broad Street. So let's see an archive release of Broad Street. We know our buddy Ed with
Ed Crawford for the win. He'll be dancing in the aisles for that thing.
Yeah, that's right. But no, seriously, let's finish off London Town and Back to the Egg. But again, I'm not going to hold my breath for this release.
No, you can't. You can't. You just got to, what will be, will be. So yes. That was the year in review. Thomas, what is in the cards for Talk More Talk in 2024?
Well, we will be back, I think, on January 8th.
Hey, good date.
Oh, yeah. We'll see. We're still mulling around what we want to do for an episode, and when we get closer to that date, we'll let you guys know what we're going to do. But again, this was a good year for Talk More Talk. We picked up a bunch of new subscribers on that channel as well. So please go to Talk More Talk, a Solo Beatles videocast, and subscribe. Or if you want to check it out first, check it out and then subscribe. But a lot of fun with Ken Michaels, Kid O'Toole, and Joe Mayo as well there.
Excellent. I'll have some new content on my own channel after some concert going in January on the other leg, Andy's Music Vault. And that's really it for all of us for Two Legs for 2023. I'd like to thank everybody out there, the new subscribers, and everybody who's followed us in the last year and joined us. And we've gotten some emails and some people that have said, I just discovered you guys. So thank you for finding us, and go back and check out some old, the old episodes if you like, and comment on those, and some of you do. And thank you for that. So we're looking forward to a happier and healthier 2024 for everybody out there that watches our show and listens to our show. Tom, any last words?
Hey, just thank you. I made a big move this year, and it was tough, but thank you for your support and cooperation. And David, thank you for stepping in for a couple episodes. Really appreciate that. And all you guys out there listening or watching, however you choose to pay attention to our show, thank you.
Seriously, thank you all for hanging in with us, and we're just two, McCartney kookheads that just, we like this crap. This is what we enjoy. It's our passion, it's our hobby, and it's yours too, and that's why I think that you're here. So we're glad you're along for the ride, and we're looking forward to doing it again and having a lot more fun in 2024. So for Tom, I'm Andy. Happy New Year! Happy, joy. Merry New Year, as he says in the movie. And we'll see you next time.
Yes. Take care.
You've been listening to Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast, hosted by Tom Hunyadi and Andy Nichols, with musical contributions by Dylan C.